Chapter 9. The Harsh Rules of the Navy He. Life aboard the Rodney ran like clockwork, and every man knew his place. Orders were to be obeyed instantly, without question. If an officer said jump, a sailor had better be in the air before he finished the word. Discipline was as much a part of the ship as the sails and cannons, and punishment was never far away. Every morning, the boatswain's mates marched across the deck with short lengths of rope in their pockets. If a sailor was slow, sloppy, or showed disrespect, a sharp word from an officer could send the mate's rope snapping across his back. For more serious offenses, there was the blacklist. Blacklisted men had to do the dirtiest, hardest work on board, scrubbing decks before dawn, scouring brass until it shone, and hauling heavy loads when others were resting. Cleanliness was an obsession. The officers wanted their warship to gleam, even at sea. Every day, the crew wholly stoned the decks, scrubbing them white with blocks of sandstone on hands and knees. Uniforms were to be spotless: white frocks, white trousers, and straw hats. But there was a problem. Most sailors had only 3 changes of clothes and just 1 washing day each week. That meant sailors often had to get creative if they wanted a clean uniform. Joseph learned this the hard way. One week, after his wash didn't get finished, he hung his wet trousers to dry in a hidden spot behind the main topsail. But the wind shifted suddenly, and an order came to furl the sail. As the canvas was hauled in, his trousers were spotted by the lieutenant. "Whose are these?" the officer demanded. Joseph stepped forward. "Mine, sir." "You," the lieutenant began, his voice turning into a string of curses. "I'll have you flogged for this." He called for the chief boatswain's mate. "Have you got a rope's end in your pocket?" "No, sir." "Then fetch one and give this fellow the worst flogging he's ever had." Joseph's heart pounded. He'd seen floggings before, men tied to the grating while the rope tore their backs bloody. But just as the mate came rushing back, the lieutenant paused. He looked at Joseph and said sharply, "If you don't want one of the worst floggings you've ever had, run." Joseph didn't wait to be told twice. He bolted forward, scrambling over the bow to a spot on the bobstays, a net of rigging low over the water. The mate followed, rope in hand, but the narrow space made it nearly impossible to reach him. For over an hour, Joseph stayed there, the wind whipping at him and the sea swirling below. Finally, the mate gave up. No one said another word about the incident, except that Joseph's name soon appeared on the blacklist, where it stayed for months. It was an injustice, but Joseph took it as another reminder. Aboard a king's ship, a man's rights counted for little. Still, he told himself, God had spared him from the rope that day, and he could be trusted to see him through whatever lay ahead. Lesson for the journey. We can't always control how others treat us, but we can control how we respond. God calls us to trust him, even when life feels unfair, knowing he can bring good out of every trial. Bible verse. The Lord executes righteousness and justice for all who are oppressed. Psalm 103:6.